Welcome to Blood Moon Milk, the astrology show that comes out every new moon and full moon to help guide you on your mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation journey. I'm Aurora. I've been studying astrology since 2008. This show started back in 2018. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about the very exciting, profound eclipse that we're about to experience in the sign of Aries. Now, this eclipse is a little funky because the nodes of the moon have already switched from the Aries Libra axis into the Pisces Virgo axis. So this isn't a total eclipse. It's only partial, but it is a super moon, and because of that, it is incredibly impactful. It's going to be really um, momentous in terms of the energy that it ushers in. And there's so much energy being jam-packed into both signs of Pisces and Aries right now. And we're in the midst of a bunch of retrogrades. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up the chart and let's get into it. Okie dokie. So sharing my screen, here we are. Now, this is just a partial solar eclipse, like I mentioned. However, that doesn't diminish its impact. Whenever we have an eclipse, and we just experienced one a week and a half ago, I'm recording this on Sunday, March 23rd. The eclipse will be next Saturday, just over a week away, on March 29th at 6:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're somewhere else in the world, not on the East Coast of the United States, just ignore the rising sign for this chart because it will be different for you based on wherever you are geographically speaking during this event. But the degrees of the planets will be the same. And so take note of that and make sure to compare this chart. And I'll take a screenshot of it and put it up on the website over at bloodmoonmilk.com for you to take a look at. So that you can compare it to your own natal chart for your own mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation purposes, whatever those might be. Um, and let's take a look at this. Okay, so the new moon is at 9 degrees of Aries and it's conjunct the sun. Now, this is normal. This is what happens during every new moon. But wherever 9 degrees is at in your chart is going to be the inflection point of this new energy being reborn, rebirthed, and recycling into your life. So if you have any sensitive points, like any personal planets, luminaries, rising sign, at 9 degrees or very close to 9 degrees of Aries, then this new moon could really bring about some profound changes and new beginnings. So Aries is all about the ego and the self and the identity, the head, how we think of ourselves. It's also impulsive and creative. It's fiery in nature and it wants to create and it's impulsive about the way that it creates. It speaks first, figures stuff out later, which can get it into trouble. But sometimes that raw, fiery passion can be incredibly seductive and it's the perfect energy to wake us up from this Piscean slumber that we've been in energetically for some time. Now, I will say that this year in general is a year of endings. So next year, 2026, is going to be much, much, much more about new beginnings and new things being rebirthed or just brought into existence. But the energy that we're in now is going to set the stage for that big new beginning that happens next year. Um, when we have the Saturn Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries, that next year is going to change everything. And I don't say that lightly. But for now, and what I think is interesting specifically about this chart is that Mercury is retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde a lot, but he's retrograde at 0 degrees of Aries, which is where that big Saturn Neptune conjunction is going to happen next year. So we could be already planting these seeds and these ideas now for the things that are going to accumulate and show up and be ready for prime time a year from now. So just keep that in mind as we go through this chart. So we've got the sun and moon at 9 degrees of Aries. Mercury is retrograde. So this is while Aries energy and new moons generally are about planting seeds, because Mercury is retrograde and because Venus is retrograde also. She is here at 28 degrees of Pisces, conjunct the North Node of Destiny. This says to me there are cerebral things going on. Again, Aries is all about the head and the identity and the ego. So we are really in this period of reflection. Even though we might want to get started, we really kind of have this desire to make moves and make changes and shake things up and even rebel. Because again, Aries is also warrior energy. It's ruled by Mars. Mars is still in Cancer. He's not retrograde anymore, but he is wanting to think about and stand up for his protection and the things that matter to him and his safety. So there could be the beginnings of this rumbling of fighting back, of revolution, of this revolutionary spirit coming to the forefront. But it could be a little unclear and a little murky as to how we go about this, especially because we have Neptune here at 29 degrees of Pisces, 57 minutes, 29 degrees, 57 minutes. Just a few days. I think it's even the next day. Let me hold on. The next 2 days later, on March 31st, of this year, Neptune will be moving out of Pisces into Aries for the first time in our generation. The last time Neptune was in Pisces, the last time Neptune was in Aries was in 1861, and it kicked off the Civil War. So we're going to be waking up from this sort of Piscean slumber during this Aries new moon, this very strong new beginning. But even though this is a new beginning, it's actually the beginning of the end in some ways. So keep that in mind. I think we're going to see a real profound new beginning in a much more bold way next year. And I'll be happy to talk about that more in the future. But for now, let's just focus on what we can control ourselves, what we can manifest ourselves, and what we can cultivate in our communities, and have faith. Because again, those North Node in Pisces here, 27 degrees conjunct Venus, is all about having faith that the universe will protect us and provide for us, and that the universe has a loving, devoted, inspirational, beautiful spirit and life force that connects every single one of us through cosmic energies. You can think of this as the universal love, or the space between atoms, or even just, music. Pisces is very musical energy. So the power of song could be incredibly powerful during this time as well. So keep that in mind. If you have anything, and it's like this little stair step. We've got Saturn at 24 degrees Pisces. The part of fortune is at 25 degrees Pisces, North Node at 27 degrees Pisces, Venus retrograde at 28 degrees Pisces. And it's like every single degree for the last 5 degrees of Pisces up to this cardinal starting point at 0 degrees of Aries has some sort of element at play. And that is remarkable. And this energy will only happen once in our lifetimes. So make the best use of it. And notice what's coming up. Our dreams could be incredibly profound right now, especially if we are able to lucid dream. This could be an incredibly profound tool for getting answers to questions that we might have in our waking life. If you are able to lucid dream, you could go into your dreams and look for answers and wake up and tell us what you find. Lucid dreaming is an incredible experience if you're capable of it. And I highly encourage people to research it and train themselves to do it because there's like, our waking life. And then there's so much more that goes on in other dimensions and other timelines and other places that when we're in this body and this version of our universe, we don't have access to while we're consciously awake, living our day-to-day lives. But lucid dreaming can help unlock the key to that which is unseen. So go lucid dream if you can. Tell me all about it. It's pretty incredible what you can do. Um, but so we've got this incredible concentration that's happening between the last degrees of Pisces and the earliest degrees of Aries. So it's like we are energetically waking up from this slumber with this sort of sense of we need to reevaluate, redirect, reconsider the things that we prioritize, that we care about, the things that we value. Venus retrograde is about values, not just in terms of relationships, but on a personal level. Um, and then Mercury retrograde is about how we communicate, what we prioritize, how we move from one place to another, how we move ideas from one place to another. So it could be that there's this new technology coming through. Pluto is in Aquarius now, which is all about revolutionizing technology and humanitarianism for the greater good of the average person. Now, it might not feel like we have really seen this come up yet, but I think that the fact that the things like the Tesla boycott and the Target boycott and the way that people are choosing to not spend their money, Venus retrograde, not spending money is very much on point and on theme right now, is indicative of the way the tide is turning. We're just in the earliest degrees of this right now at 3 degrees Pluto. So we're still feeling the fallout of the last dregs of Capricorn energy, where Pluto spent the last 20-ish years since 2008 when he moved into the sign of Capricorn, heralding the banking and finance collapse in 2008, because that was immediate when that happened. And the first time Pluto moved into Aquarius, dipped his toe into that first degree of Aquarius for the very first time, was when ChatGPT was launched. So I think that AI is definitely going to be playing a role in the things that we do and the way that we choose to organize and live our lives in the next cycle of Pluto moving through this sign. So keep that in mind. We also have Uranus. Uranus is here at 24 degrees, and it seems like he has been hovering at this 23, 24-degree mark since December, and he has been. Now, this can cause restlessness, frustration, and dissatisfaction in one way or another, especially if Uranus is hitting some sensitive point in your chart or just or even within a 2-degree mark, because it's sitting here for so long. It's kind of like a laser beam burning his very intense genius, but yet erratic on off binary energy, kind of like a blinking laser light distracting you and driving you to take some kind of action if this is hitting or in transit to a sensitive point in your chart. Um, Now, Uranus is moved direct. Now, he was retrograde. That's why he was so slow and so slow moving, was because he was stationed direct at 23, 24 degrees of Taurus. But now, from this point on until June, he is going to be moving really fast. So full steam ahead. And we'll be seeing a lot of pace picking up. Things will be happening very quickly from the end of the retrograde period, which we really start to get out of the shadow period of that in mid to late April. But this eclipse, I think, is going to start to be the firing point, if you will, of like the starter gun going off. And it's funny, I've been having a couple of episodes of what you could say is exploding head syndrome. It sounds really dramatic, but it's really not harmful. But I think of it as being linked to my clairaudience abilities. When I'm falling asleep, I'll hear a loud noise, not every time, but sometimes. And I've heard two loud noises recently that are notable. The first one was a bottle of champagne, like the cork being popped, like the big pop, like that a bottle getting pop makes, which is really loud. And the other one was a cannon, which cannons are incredibly loud. If you've ever heard one fired, it like shakes you to your core. And so, which one of these is this new moon going to be? Is it going to be the champagne being popped, or is it going to be the cannon going off, or is it going to be both? I don't know. But I think it's interesting because I don't get a ton of clairaudient experiences, but when I do, I take notice of them and think about them and consider them, and nobody else hears them, and I could just be totally going nuts, and who's to know the difference except for me or you? Does it really matter anyway? Probably not. But I digress. But I do think the pace is going to be picking up. Uranus moving forward is going to have a lot of very quick actions that are unfolding at a rapid fire because it's going to be moving through these last degrees of Taurus. I think the financial markets will continue to see volatility um, for the duration until Uranus is out of Taurus and then he moves into Gemini. And it's going to be a whole different vibe in June when that happens. Um, but that Gemini energy and Uranian energy is going to be a lot happier in Uranus in Gemini rather because of the nature of the energy of Uranus. It loves to sort of be you can think of Uranus as kind of like an elevated Mercury in some ways. Like Mercury is intense, but Uranus is slow moving and even more profoundly intense than Mercury. It's where Mercury is knowledge, Uranus is genius. So that's the difference between the two and the magnitude. And Uranus is also very, very slow moving, where Aries is very quick, 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 quick. But um, because Uranus is now moving forward, we're gonna see actions, activity. We've already felt like this year has been jam-packed with news and events that are already historic in a lot of ways. But when Uranus moves into Gemini, this is again revolutionary energy. It's curiosity. It's very much people focused and what is right, what the masses want. And so it's going to be stirring that energy up a whole lot. We also have Jupiter. Jupiter is in Gemini currently now. He's at the midpoint of Gemini. And he's harmonizing with Pallas here in Aquarius during this new moon, which I think is very good. So Pallas is strategy. Sorry, my nose is kind of itchy. It's just now spring and my allergies are a little kicking up just a tad. We have Pallas and Jupiter kind of conspiring here in some ways, talking to each other about what they think about things that are going on, how to strategize behind closed doors. And this is in its humanitarian phase. Pallas Athena in Greek mythology was the goddess of war and wisdom and strategy. So this is interesting to me. This is like, okay, you might not see what we're doing, but we're doing it and we're doing it behind closed doors. But don't worry, things are happening. It just isn't time to see them yet. But when they unfold, it will be at the right time. Cosmic timing, divine timing is very much a thing. Um, And I think we're heading towards this period of time where different cultures have discussed um, different myths uh, where so it looks like the world is coming to an end, and it looks like the dark side is winning. You know, it looks like the evildoers have won, but at the last moment, they don't. They are overcome by the light. And I don't know how this will take place. There's different cultures that talk about this in many, many different ways. Um, but I think that the astrology of next year, and I specifically that Neptune Saturn conjunction at the Aries point, at that very sensitive astrological point, the most powerful point of the whole zodiac, is going to possibly be the time and date for when this occurs. So if you are feeling confused, down, and you're really struggling, don't give up. The battle is not lost. It just seems that way now. And it always gets darkest before the dawn. So just keep going, keep doing what you can do, and be the change that you want to see in the world. I love that saying, that phrase. Because, each one of us, if we are largely operating from a place of love and kindness and creativity and joy, we cannot help but raise the vibration and the frequency of those around us. And of course, there are going to be people who have not totally waken up yet. And they're on their own timeline, they're on their own journey, but that doesn't mean that you have to allow what they are going through to drag you down. You can kindly look at them and give them words of support and encouragement without being cruel. Cruelty just makes more cruelty in the world. The only thing that works is kindness, over and over and over again. Kindness, and I think travel. Those are the two things that I think really changed the world, is being able to travel the world and see how people live and treat each other in other places that seem really foreign or seem really distant and different from where we may have grown up or what we're accustomed to. But that gives us a greater empathy and understanding to our fellow humans on this planet. So anyway, that's my little soapbox for the day. We also have Juno. She's retrograde right now at 1 degree Sagittarius, and that's definitely talking to Mercury retrograde here at 0 degrees of Mercury, or of Aries rather, sorry. Now this is interesting. This is a reconsidering of relationships and how we show up at home and cater to the needs of our loved ones. And Sagittarius, Juno in Sagittarius is more like, well, I can philosophically do this stuff, but can I actually do this in a practical way that is speaking to me on a profound, philanthropic, loving way that also inspires me to grow on a deeper, more spiritual level? And so she's retrograde. She's going back in the sign of Scorpio, and she's going to be kind of harmonizing with this Venus retrograde and Neptune really, really soon. So there could be this possessiveness, this theme of digging into old taboo patterns, especially while the retrograde is in full swing. So this could be a theme that comes up for people, especially people with planets in late Scorpio, or even in late Pisces. Um, and yeah, so that's most of the things. We have Lilith, this Lilith is always kind of a funky one. Um, she's retrograde in the sign of Libra, and she's at 22 degrees of Libra opposite Chiron. Now, this can bring up a lot of pain as well, and opportunities for healing, that sort of part of us that gives too much to people in relationships, maybe without being asked, but because we want to give. But then I would examine the reasons for why we give. Are you giving because you want something back out of a sense of debt? Like you're giving something to somebody because you expect repayment, whether that's in the form of an emotion or commitment to somebody, um, or are you giving because you want to give? Like the act of giving makes you joyful and you like to see people be happy. And this is sensitive energy here. So if you have anything at 22 degrees of Pisces or of Libra or Aries right now, you could be feeling a little like wounded in terms of where you give your attentions to. Um, I also like to point out that Saturn and Uranus are working together pretty nicely during this new moon. So there could be invitations or unexpected events that could be long lasting that pop up for folks right now, especially if you have anything at 24, 25 degrees of the water or earth signs. Um, this could be really beneficial for you folks. And even Mars is in here making this happen. He's a little outside of the exact sextile, rather. It's earth and water energy there, but he's he's adding fuel, if you will, that Martian fuel to the fire. And remember, Mars does rule this new moon in Aries because Mars is the ruler of Aries. So that's my take on this solar eclipse. It's only a partial solar eclipse, but because it's a super moon, it will be profoundly impactful. It will be profoundly impactful. I can't get these words out right now. Mercury retrograde, thanks so much. This new moon will be profoundly impactful. And I think it's going to be the impetus that sort of, whether it's the champagne cork or the cannon, maybe it's both. Um, Showing up to kind of ignite us and excite us for this new phase of actions that we're feeling called to take. And it'll be different for every single one of us because every one of us has a different chart and we have different perspectives and relationships. And this is why I encourage you to look at your chart along with this chart. Look at these numbers, see where they are falling, what house they're falling in. And if you want to know more, I'm available for private sessions. Head over to bloodmoonmilk.com. You can book a session with me there. Email me Aurora with an H at bloodmoonmilk.com to get in touch if you would like to chat to me about something. I do get a lot of emails, so I don't respond to everybody. But if it's a good fit or there's something that I think is a good idea, I do respond um, in my own time. But thank you so much for listening, watching, share the show with your friends, sign up for the Daily Dose. Daily Dose is my daily Monday through Friday email astrology newsletter that I write to help guide you. Um, it talks about the day's biggest events, astrologically speaking, so that you can kind of understand what's going on cosmically and how to best do it. And it helps you to learn about astrology hold on, I've got a friend here who wants to say hi. It helps to teach you about astrology on a day-to-day basis. And this is Pickle, um my little Gemini. Yeah. And she hasn't been feeling very good lately, so I just wanted to say hi, have her say hi to you. But thank you for listening. Sign up for the Daily Dose over at bloodmoonmilk.com. Schedule a one-on-one session with me. I would love to look at this chart, this new moon chart, or any chart you want, and help you on your guided mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation journey to help you find the things that you like want to bring out more of in your chart, whether that's joy, financial abundance, where you want to live in the world. I look at all that stuff with my clients in private sessions. So if you're thinking about having one, I'd love to see you. New clients, first time clients are 250, and then return clients are 222 an hour after that. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, I wish you all the best the stars have to offer. All right, thanks.